Let's make Zinfandel with power tools.
I'm Greg.
I'm Julie, and we're the Crafty Whiners. You'll see where this comes in a little bit. I'm going to put it back over there.
She doesn't want to hurt herself.
I'm dangerous with drills.
So this is the first Zinfandel we've made on camera.
Yep.
This is red Zinfandel versus white Zinfandel.
I've actually had a couple of my friends ask me if we were going to do a video specifically on Zinfandel. So the answer is yes, we are right now.
And we're also going to switch things up a little bit with the way that we make it. We're going to make most of it in a pitcher.
Yeah, so if you've watched our other videos, we typically use one of these for our primary fermenter. And well, there's some drawbacks to this. We have to use a funnel to put everything in. Also, if you've watched our videos, you know he likes to whine about shaking them, and there's a lot of shaking that goes on with this, especially if you have to adjust the pH or anything like that every single time. You've got to shake it again. So we had a brilliant idea, this pitcher that we have been using to measure gallons so that we could mark our carboys with the gallon mark, just sitting around. Didn't even occur to us. Why don't we just make it right in here? And then we'll put it in the carboy.
Has a pour spout.
Yeah, and it's wide enough you don't have to shake it, so you can stir it.
So I won't have to shake it once.
Nope.
I'll have to find something new to whine about.
I'm sure you could find something new to whine about.
I'm starting to work on that right now. I'll find something.
I'm not going to know what to do with myself without having to have all the extra steps. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour this in. And this is Nature Blessed Zinfandel Concentrate. You can get it on Amazon. There'll be a link for that.
It's been sitting out for about an hour warming so that it will pour easily.
Yeah, they're kind of thick if they come straight out of the...
Otherwise, it's a pain.
Look at this.
She's not having to use a funnel.
No funnel required. I don't know what to do with myself. Okay, so I want to get the rest of this juice out of here. So I'm going to pour a little bit of purified water in here and shake it up. And pour it into here. And then we are going to fill this pitcher up to the 3/4 mark, which is 96 fluid ounces on this. This is so much easier. I was always fighting with that funnel trying to fall out. Why didn't we think of this before?
I don't know. I didn't want to miss out on all that shaking.
Okay. We got it to the 3/4 mark.
So, now's the first time we get to use this.
So, this is, we have to explain this. This little nifty thing here is actually for taking the guts out of a pumpkin. And we use it every year for Halloween because we have everybody over and we do this massive carving of pumpkins. Everybody gets their own pumpkin, and it's a pain in the butt to do it with a spoon like I used to do when I was a kid. So I found this thing really cool. I couldn't find one last year at Walmart, so I thought I had hit the jackpot and found it on Amazon. I didn't read the description very carefully. I actually got 10 of them instead of one.
So she's hoarding these.
So I have a stockpile of these.
If you've not been able to get one, she's the one.
Hit me up. I got a few.
It was your fault they couldn't get one because you bought them all.
Well, now I have them. I can share.
We'll link this on Amazon so that you can get one for yourself if you choose to.
But it turns out it's perfect for stirring.
It's great.
It's
because
perfect.
It's rounded and it's not going to scrape the outside of the pitcher or the glass fermenter that much.
However, you wouldn't be able to fit it in here.
Correct. We have another one for that that we'll show probably the next time we decide we want to use a carboy to mix in, which maybe never. We might just stay with this.
I'm thinking never.
So most people have a drill. If you don't have a drill, if you don't want to buy one of these, you can still stir this with a spoon. You just need to do it a lot longer than what I'm going to do it because this thing is great. Watch. And I'm saying that's about all you got to do. This, of course, has been sanitized. Everything's been sanitized. We didn't sanitize the drill itself, but it's not going to touch the wine.
Oh, should I not tell you that I dunked it in the Star San earlier?
Is that why it smells a little funny? This oxygenates the must really well.
It's awesome.
It's great. I thought we were going to get away without having to use the baster, but at 3/4, which is where we like to add our sugar, this touches the bottom.
Yeah,
So right now
so it doesn't work.
You hear the clunk. It's sitting on the bottom. So we still need to use
The
the
baster.
baster once, but we shouldn't need to use it again throughout this whole process, which again is very nice.
Oh, we might have to use it to take it out for the yeast.
No, it's got a pour spout.
Oh, that's right.
I am going to calculate how much sugar we need to add, and I will link to an updated version of our document that shows you how to calculate the sugar when you're at 3/4 full. So we're not going to show you how to do that here. We'll just give you the results.
He's skipping the math lesson for tonight.
Did you see that? Reflexes like a cat.
So now I don't have to stir anymore, which means I don't have anything to whine about.
I'm sure you'll find something else.
Probably.
Let's go ahead and fill up to the gallon mark,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to stir,
Okay.
or drill, or
Whatever you want to call it.
pumpkin gut, or something.
We don't want to gut our wine. Just stir.
Okay, I'm going to stir it. I got to be a little more careful now, or it'll probably come out the
Right on me.
top of this. But
Careful. Hit me in the head with it.
they say winemaking has no risks. Maybe the only downfall of using the drill is that it does make
Gets
it
a little foamy.
makes it a little foamy at the top, and we're going to take a hydrometer reading. In theory, it will float now if I could see through the foam.
In all honesty, though, we got foam even without using the drill. The shaking makes it foamy.
Okay, so our initial gravity is 1.124 now that we're full at a gallon, which is about a 16% potential.
We're shooting for the moon this time.
Yeah, that's higher than we normally go, and we have had issues getting to that with 71B yeast. So we are going to change to using EC1111 yeast, which can do that pretty easily. It can go as high as 18. This is going to be some potent Zinfandel.
Well, Zinfandels do tend to be on the higher side. This may be a little bit beyond the higher side, but
So now we are going to check pH. You can watch our pH video to see more about pH, but we want, for the yeast to do well, we would like it to be between 4 and 6. And normally we'd use the baster and put this into another container and do it in there, but we're just going to do it right in here. This has been sanitized. The pH as it sits right now is 3.48 on this newly calibrated pH tester.
which is no bueno.
So we're going to need to make an adjustment, and we will do so and tell you what we did after we're done. We had to
Really
add,
low. 2.5 teaspoons of potassium bicarbonate.
and you can see the foam that it caused.
Because he had to stir it every time I added more.
So that foam will have plenty of time to go down while our yeast is hydrating. But we do want the pH to be between 4 and 6. And lately we've been kind of erring on the
Higher side
higher
of that.
side. I like it to be a little above 5.
So we ended up with 5.31. So,
So it's good.
all
Okay.
right. So now, last part of this before we do the yeast part, I'm going to put in half a teaspoon of tannins. Most big reds should have some tannin. Of course, it will get some of that from the oak and the secondary fermentation process as well, but we're going to add a little extra.
We haven't made any comment about our...
Oh yeah, I like them.
It makes it a little easier to show this on video. That's probably it may not be much of an advantage to you at home, but for us when we're trying to get these ingredients out of the little packages they come in, it's kind of a pain to do it on camera.
Especially the liquid ones.
Yeah.
In the next process, they're like impossible to get out.
I'll link these in the description below so
They're
that
really cool.
you can see. They aren't terribly, they're actually pretty cheap.
And we've got them labeled, and even with cheat notes, so I know how much we put in.
Yeah, she has the standard amount, the dosage, I guess you could call it, written on there,
Yeah.
printed on there. One more note about the containers. Some ingredients expire quickly, don't have a long life. So you don't want to probably dump those in here without knowing what the expiration date is. And the ingredients that get on the bottom might be in there for a long time if you never reach them. So for that reason, the pectic enzyme, which has a shorter shelf life than a lot of these, did not get put into these, keeping it in the original container. We go through most of our ingredients so quickly because we're making so much wine
Yeah.
that they're never, going to get terribly old because we're going to get to the bottom. I would recommend getting to the bottom before you refill these, though, so that you're managing the stuff that does expire. So pectic enzyme is another ingredient that we
Which I am also going to put in a half teaspoon of, just like the tannin.
We also refrigerate the pectic enzyme and all of our yeasts.
There we go.
And it's floating on top of the foam. So I'll massage it back in and stir it up, and we'll be ready for the next step.
All right, the next step is to get our yeast ready. So he's going to pour a 1/4 cup of this must in there.
Sans foam, hopefully.
Hey, that was pretty good, actually.
It worked. I wouldn't really worry about the foam because, again, you need to let the yeast hydrate for an hour at least, 2 hours preferably, and that foam is already half or a third of what it was just a few minutes ago. So the drilling, I was a little bit maybe excessive with the speed on the drill, and that was probably part of the foam issue. It didn't, on my test earlier today, it didn't foam up quite as much. And then all the potassium bicarbonate that we added definitely did
I'm
not
sure.
help.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a lot of the
It's
foam.
like adding baking soda to vinegar.
So we are actually using one of our newer methods for this wine. A lot of our other recipes, if you've watched them, we did not use Go Firm. We used Fermade O in the beginning as the yeast nutrient. We just started not too long ago trying some of our reds with Go Firm in the beginning as the yeast nutrient, and then waiting 3 days to add some Fermade O. And then I think, are you adding a teaspoon of Fermade O, and then are you adding it on another
On
day?
the 7th day, a 1/4 teaspoon.
And
And it's been working well.
so far, I think we are having better success with that. So that's what we're going to do with this one. I'm going to put 2 teaspoons of this Go Firm in here. And my teaspoon measuring spoon won't fit in here, so I'm going to have to do 4 of these.
It wouldn't have hurt to have a little bit wider mouth jar than this, but these are the ones that I found that were the size I was looking for. So there's only like 1 or 2 ingredients in the whole process that need more than a half a teaspoon at a time, and this is one of them. Needs 2 teaspoons of Go Firm. And this is the only time in this part of it she's gotten to use the mini whisk.
Oh, yeah. You know, I do really like the mini whisk, but I'm not going to complain about not having to mix so much stuff.
So that's a 1/4 cup of must, 2 teaspoons of Go Firm. Now she's going to mix it up real well, and then she's just going to sprinkle the yeast on top and dunk it. You don't really want to stir, at least you don't want to stir the yeast aggressively. So we stirred this up real good, makes it kind of a brown liquid, kind of a gross looking stuff, soup, but the yeast like it. But it's better to stir this and then put the yeast on top, and then just make sure that the yeast are wet. Otherwise, they may never get wet, and they end up on the side of the container, and they end up getting eaten by the other yeast, and it's kind of, it's sad. Cannibal yeast. So let your must warm up to preferably around 85, 90 degrees before you put the yeast in.
These Lalvin yeast packets do say the temperature on the back of them, which this one says 95 degrees. So what we do is we Sometimes we put it in the microwave. Typically we put it in front of a little heater that we have to get it up to that temperature. So I'm going to put this in here. And again, we're using the EC1118 because of the ABV that we want to get to.
So our yeast is hydrating, and I'm going to go stick it by our heater so that it stays around 90 degrees. While that's happening, this is a new jar that we just started using.
So we're doing all kinds of new things tonight.
This, I had to drill the hole, and I bought a packet of grommets so that I could do my own grommeting, but because we're Amazon affiliates, we're not supposed to say prices because of their policy for affiliates, but I can say that this is less than half the cost of a little big mouth bubbler. It has an insert that makes it watertight.
Which is nice.
And if you line the hole up with the hole that's in here, you can actually put something straight through, such as the tip of that. But yeah, this is super nice. So we've done, I've tested it out on some Hobo type wine, and we'll be using it for this wine tonight. So airlock goes in here. Let's go ahead and get this done. This has been sanitized like everything else. Decent amount of headroom there for our gallon. Not as much as a little big mouth bubbler, but it's plenty.
Oh yeah.
So I don't feel like I need a blow off tube.
That lid really is cool.
It is cool.
I
It
like
just goes
it.
like that. So we're going to finish hydrating our yeast. So we're not going to make you sit through this. And the only thing you're going to have to do after your yeast sits for about 2 hours, dump it in here and put this into a nice warm area to ferment. And that's it. We'll be back in a couple of weeks to do part 2. And you'll see how it went.
Thank you for watching part 1 of our Zinfandel recipe video. Hope you liked it. Please like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't subscribed already. If you have subscribed already, thank you very much for your support. We appreciate it. Till next time. Cheers.